Welcome to Divorces in North Carolina, Sandra Dinkins. Today we will be discussing the factors that will determine how long it will take to get your absolute divorce in North Carolina. Ever wondered how long it takes to get a divorce in North Carolina? Well, the answer is not as straightforward as one might think. The duration of a divorce process can swing from 2 to a staggering 5 years. This wide range is due to a myriad of factors, from the nature of your divorce to custody battles, asset distribution, and even the simple act of serving divorce papers. Let's dive into the specifics and understand what impacts the duration of a divorce in North Carolina. First off, let's talk about the types of divorces: contested and uncontested. This distinction is crucial because it can significantly impact how long the divorce process will take. So, what's the difference between contested and uncontested divorces? In simple terms, a contested divorce is one where the spouses cannot agree on one or more key issues. These issues might include child custody, spousal support, or the division of property and debts. Because of these disagreements, both parties need to go through a series of court procedures to settle their differences. This process is not only emotionally draining, but it also takes time, often extending the duration of the divorce process. On the other hand, an uncontested divorce is where both spouses agree on all the key issues up front. They've decided who gets what and have agreed on matters like child custody and alimony. In this scenario, the court's role is merely to ratify the agreement. As you can imagine, this type of divorce is much faster and less stressful. However, it's important to note that even an uncontested divorce in North Carolina requires a mandatory separation period of 1 year and a day. This rule is in place to ensure that both parties have had sufficient time to reflect on their decision before legally ending their marriage. So, how does the type of divorce impact the time it takes to finalize it? Well, as you may have guessed, uncontested divorces typically take less time. Without the need for prolonged court proceedings to settle disagreements, the process can move along much more quickly. In contrast, contested divorces can take significantly more time, as each point of contention needs to be addressed and resolved. In conclusion, the type of divorce you're dealing with is the first factor that determines the duration of the process. Whether your divorce is contested or uncontested can significantly influence the time it takes to untie the knot. However, remember that every situation is unique, and these are general guidelines, not hard and fast rules. In North Carolina, there's something called the separation requirement. What's that about? Well, it's a critical step in the divorce procedure. This rule stipulates that you and your spouse must live separate and apart for a period of 1 year and a day. It's not just about living in different rooms under the same roof, but completely separate residences. Now, you might wonder, why is this important? This separation requirement is a way to ensure that both parties have had ample time to reflect on their decision, to consider reconciliation, or to confirm that divorce is indeed the best option. Check out my video, Divorces in North Carolina, Sandra Dinkins. What are the requirements to divorce in North Carolina? This requirement can significantly impact your divorce timeline. If you've just separated, you're looking at a minimum of a year before you can even file for divorce. However, if you've already been living separately for over a year, you can file right away. If you've already fulfilled the separation requirement, you're one step closer to finalizing your divorce. What about child custody, spousal support, and division of assets? I hear you ask. Well, these factors can significantly influence the duration of your divorce proceedings in North Carolina. When we talk about child custody, this aspect requires careful handling. If you're filing for custody of your child, the court will need to evaluate the best interests of the child. This process can be quite lengthy, as it involves looking into various aspects like the child's education, health, emotional ties, and more. If the parents can't agree on a custody arrangement, the court steps in, and this can extend the duration of the divorce process. To speed up the process of your divorce, you can keep child custody outside of the courts. Check out my video, Divorces in North Carolina, Sandra Dinkins, How to Keep Child Custody Outside of the Courts. Next, let's talk about spousal support or alimony. If you are seeking spousal support, the court will need to evaluate the financial circumstances of both parties. This could involve examining income, standard of living during the marriage, the duration of the marriage, and the financial needs of the spouse seeking support. This assessment can add more time to the divorce process, especially if there are disagreements about the amount or necessity of the spousal support. If you are getting value from this video, please subscribe. Now onto the division of assets, also known as equitable distribution. In North Carolina, marital property is divided in an equitable manner, not necessarily equally. This means the court will consider several factors, including the duration of the marriage, the age and health of both parties, the needs of the custodial parent, and each party's income and assets. If you and your spouse have significant assets or debts, like retirement accounts, rental properties, or an investment portfolio, the process of equitable distribution can be quite complex and time-consuming. The complexity doesn't end here, though. Let's say you have multiple properties both within and outside North Carolina, or maybe you have a joint business venture with your spouse. These scenarios add more layers to the already complex process of asset division. The court needs to evaluate all these assets, determine their value, and then decide on a fair division. This can significantly extend your divorce timeline. Additionally, if your spouse disagrees with the proposed division of assets, this can lead to further delays. Disagreements may lead to negotiations or even a trial, which can add more months or even years to your divorce process. So, as you can see, filing for child custody, spousal support, or equitable distribution of assets can make your divorce process longer. The more complex your financial situation, the more time it may take to untangle everything and reach a resolution that the court deems fair. In conclusion, these legal procedures can add more time to your divorce process, especially if there are disagreements or complex assets involved. However, it's important to remember that every case is unique, and the exact duration of your divorce process may vary based on your specific circumstances. Now, let's talk about serving the divorce papers. This is a crucial step in the divorce process in North Carolina. It's vital to know your spouse's location because, by law, they need to be officially informed about the divorce proceedings. This is known as service. It's a mandatory process, and it constitutes a legal notice that you're seeking a divorce. But what happens if you don't know your spouse's whereabouts? Well, this can create a significant delay in your divorce proceedings. The court system takes the service process very seriously. If your spouse isn't served promptly or properly, the court won't proceed with the divorce. It's as if the divorce was never filed. So, it's essential to have the correct address where your spouse can be served. If you're unsure, it's best to seek professional help to locate them. Remember, the quicker your spouse is served, the faster you can move forward. So, ensuring your spouse is served promptly helps speed up the divorce process. What if you're filing for child support, or your attorney requests a formal discovery? These are two important considerations that can impact the timeline of your divorce proceedings. Let's start with child support. Filing for child support is a critical step for many parents going through a divorce. It's about ensuring that your children's financial needs are adequately met. However, as crucial as it is, it can also add to the length of your divorce process. This is because determining child support often involves detailed assessments of both parents' incomes, the child's needs, and other relevant factors. So it's not uncommon for this process to add a few more months to your divorce timeline. To speed up the process of your divorce and save time and money, check out my video, Divorces in North Carolina, Reducing the Costs of Divorce. Now, let's move on to the topic of formal discovery. In the context of a divorce, a formal discovery is a legal process where each party gathers information about the other. This information could be about finances, assets, or any other details relevant to the divorce. The purpose of a formal discovery is to ensure that all cards are on the table, so to speak. It's about creating a level playing field where both parties have access to the same information. However, the formal discovery process can be time-consuming. It involves various steps such as sending out discovery requests, waiting for responses, reviewing the received information, and possibly following up on any unclear or incomplete responses. This process can easily take 6 months or more. So if you're filing for child support or your attorney requests a formal discovery, be prepared for these processes to extend the timeline of your divorce. It's understandable if you want your divorce to be over as quickly as possible. However, it's also important to remember that these steps are not just about prolonging the process. They're about ensuring fairness, protecting your rights, and most importantly, looking out for the best interests of your children. While these steps might prolong your divorce, they are necessary to ensure fair outcomes. So we've covered a lot of ground. Let's recap the key points. In the realm of divorce, there are two main types: contested and uncontested. A contested divorce is when both parties cannot agree on one or multiple issues, leading to a court trial. An uncontested divorce, on the other hand, is when both parties agree on all aspects, making the process smoother and possibly quicker. One of the key factors determining the duration of a divorce in North Carolina is the separation requirement. This requires the couple to live separately for a year and a day. If this period has already been fulfilled, the divorce process may be expedited. If not, it means waiting at least a year before proceeding with the divorce. The next set of factors revolves around custody, support, and assets. Will you be filing for custody of your child? Are you seeking spousal support or alimony? Do you need to divide assets and debts? All these questions need to be answered, and the more there are, the longer the process may take. Especially if there is a large amount of assets and debts, retirement accounts, rental properties, or an investment portfolio, the process of equitable distribution can take more time. Serving the divorce papers is another crucial step. If you don't know your spouse's whereabouts, this can delay the process as service is mandatory in North Carolina. This could add extra time to the duration of your divorce. If child support is involved, this can further delay proceedings. Similarly, if a formal discovery is requested by your attorney to gather information about all the factors we've discussed, it could take 6 months or more, adding to the overall timeline of the divorce. Remember, the duration of a divorce in North Carolina can range from 2 to 5 years, depending on these factors. The journey may seem long and arduous, but understanding these factors can help you navigate the process with better clarity and patience. In conclusion, navigating a divorce in North Carolina can be complex and time-consuming. The importance of understanding the factors impacting the timeline cannot be overstated. From determining if your divorce is contested or uncontested, to fulfilling the separation requirement, to dealing with custody, support, and assets, each aspect plays a significant role in the duration of the process. Also, remember that factors like serving the divorce papers and formal discoveries can add to the timeline. Understanding these factors can help you determine how long it will take to get your absolute divorce.